Okay, so let's continue. uh, okay, now as I discussed, so given instructions, all instructions which are independent, they will execute continuously in the pipeline. Okay, which are dependent, they have to wait for dependent instructions completion. Okay, see now completion. Now once the next instruction is dependent on the previous, like R1 plus R2 is equal to R3. So till R3 finishes, it has to wait. Wait for what? Wait for execution. Okay, fine. Next, see, next two instructions are free, very independent, so they won't they won't wait, but their wait is because of the processor is busy with the previous execution. Okay, for that reason they will wait. So once memory B and memory C completes, R6, what is R6? R4 into R5. So they that line that instruction will execute. So that instruction execution completes here. Okay, once it completes, before it could write back, we can issue the value, because the same R6 register is using. If it was a memory, we would have waited for one more cycle extra. Since it is a register, we can directly get collect the data from same register which is a destination in the previous, that to store in memory. So that we will finish here. So now the same two operations, y is equal to, so indirectly I am writing expression x is equal to y plus z. Okay, now y is loaded on to R1, z is loaded on to R2, answer is stored in R3, finally it is stored in the location called x. Okay, similarly a is equal to, let me write actually, bracket a is equal to bracket b plus or star, actual instruction, bracket of c. Bracket means what? Please understand, it is a memory fetch, taking data from memory C, taking data from memory B, performing the operation and storing result in the memory A. So here continuously we are working on memory indirectly, but since we cannot work on two memory at a time, that is not allowed, so we are taking with help of registers. Okay, now so this all instructions took a total of 23 CPU cycles. Please make a note, this is in given order. So the program is given like this, and we also executed in given order of the program. Now next concept is, okay, so here we will get next one, reordering. So what is given instruction order? Taking y location, loading on R1, taking from z location, loading on R2, performing operation, storing the result in R3. Similarly, take data from B location, take data from C location to separate registers, perform arithmetic operation, get result, that result in memory. Now word is reorder. What do you mean by reorder? Finish all loads first. Okay, finish all loads first. What is the advantage? See here, by 10th cycle all data is with registers. Earlier what it was? Earlier to get a data, see, I think we took 17 cycles. By end of load R5 it was 17 cycle. Now 10 cycles. Okay, so next one more, to perform one advantage, let me tell you. Before we could start what this R6, hope the first instruction suffers least delay called only one. But earlier how much it was? 3 plus 2, total 5. Now it is only 1. Okay, Fine. Here also only one, because of ordered we have changed the order, and since both are last two are store, only one store suffers each means single delay. So we can expect maximum 4 CPU cycles idle, but in earlier it was 3 plus 3 6, 2 plus 2 10, 6 plus 4 is 10, again 2 plus 2 4, 14 plus 2 16. Now 1 2 3 4 5 3. The idle time it from 16 it has reduced to 5. Idle time means not working time. So hence if x is a performance in earlier method, it is 3 times in this method of reordering. Okay, fine. Now comes the next one of the case study, that is MIPS R4000 is one processor. His instruction architecture we are studying now. Okay, so as I mentioned, we the previous case was here, it was 1 fetch, 1 decode, 1 issue, 3 execution, 1 write back. Now what this particular company did is they defined their own pipeline stages: instruction fetch, second instruction, all operands register file is reserved, execution. So store result 1 for instruction fetch, data second means instruction seconds result, check the tag and write back. So when you write back, please make sure we are writing 2 results, because what, one instruction is different and second instruction is different. Okay, now how is the architecture of this? Okay, now so this is one case study. This is architecture of MIPS R4000 processor. So it will collect data. Okay, then second data is also collected. Registers RF means register file. So they will be allocated for first instruction as well as second instruction execution. See, in the previous we studied 3 execution, but now it is only 1 execution. Even though operations are 2, we are using only 1 execution. That means what? Multitask. One processor doing a multiple activity, multitask concept. So what we will generate from this? We will get 2 data. Okay, data for the first, data for the second. Data means result. Why I should say result? Because definitely we have finished the execution. Next, tag check. This is a tag check. I will explain why we need to use a tag check. Okay, next one is write back. Okay, write back. So here please remember the steps. Here what? Instruction cache and data cache, both are kept separate. Both will be loaded onto register because it is a step between instruction second and register. So now where we have to show ALU, please remember, where there is execution, there we have to show ALU. Data cache is common between what? 2 next cycles. Why? Data first and data second. So you can say RS and RF and RS. For if you don't have a confusion, RF we already have, so I am not using word. RF means result first, result second. So instead of getting confusion, I am calling it as data first and data second. Next comes tag check, and last one, update the result. Okay, next one is okay. So now to perform instruction pipelining, we have many techniques: prefetch buffers, okay, then multiple functional units method, and internal data forwarding and hazard avoidance. Okay, so this question you can expect for 6 to 8 marks. Okay, I feel this is one of the important question. Okay, let's see one by one. What do you mean by prefetch? Okay, so prefetch means here is a fetch unit. Okay, let me explain first diagram so that you will get concepts very easy. There is a memory means bulk, that means huge size of data or instruction. See, instruction plus data. Take relevant instruction plus data combination. So from bulk or huge size, a part of or a related instructions will be loaded. So from here we have to make two decisions whether program. See, now what I will do is I will try to write one C program here like this. Printf, give the student details. Okay, how he has to give? Please imagine roll number, name, and his address, his performance. These all things he has to give. So are they sequential data? Yes. If such instructions are sequential, so pass on the data to sequential buffer. Okay, if it is not, like jump to or some UDF which executes somewhere else in the memory space, so that time what we have to do? Branch type of instruction should be loaded onto target buffer, continuous instruction should be loaded onto sequential buffer. It is just splitting here, but when they execute, really they execute in order only. But to differentiate whether it is a sequential executable or branch execution, we are splitting it. Once we sure that sequential executable or branch type and which is a target buffer, so one by one in order based upon their order of execution, they will enter instruction pipeline. From there they will enter ALU and they will get executed. Hope it is clear now. Okay, now see, if instructions are sequential, load onto sequential buffer. If instructions are branch, load onto target. Now what happens if instructions are loop? Okay, so in this diagram it is not there. In a recent technology we have one more set of buffer called as loop buffer. Loop buffer. So they will also participate. In this diagram it is not shown, but in today's updated architectures we have it. So here prefetch means decide whether it is a sequential or a branch or loop type in advance. So that is the meaning of prefetch. Okay, so next technique what we have is multiple functional units. So use a separate functional unit for each and every task or a group of tasks. See, now it is very simple. We will have a memory, we will have a fetch unit. Okay, from a bulk memory, fetch unit will fetches a data, it will decodes and issues to units. If it is a data to the register, it will supply to the register. Once register will take a data, okay, some related data, they will be forwarded to functional unit. Functional unit means what? You can imagine that to co-processor. They are helping for main processor. So co-processor will help. Each co-processor is associated with the reservation stations. They will maintain whether the functional unit is busy or free. Okay, if it is free, data will be collected by the issue section and gets executed. Please remember, data will be updated back here only. It is not sent somewhere else. It is updated to in the register section, but only step is through this step. Okay, so now what this unit will do, this unit will identify from which functional block result is collected. So that is the work of tag unit. Okay. Okay, next third method is internal data forwarding. So internal data forwarding means try to keep instruction I will try to explain like this. There are two instructions. So instruction 2 is indirectly taking a result or any of the value from instruction 1. But by looking the normal execution, what happens is, see, there are two instructions: store a result R1 in memory. Next is what? From that memory we have to load to R2. So that means what? R1 has a memory, R1 has a data, store it into memory. Okay. Next, R2, what it want is, it want to get a data from same memory. That means R2 want to fetch like this. So what happens here? One data here, 1 cycle, 2 cycle, 3 cycle and 4 cycle. So instead of store load, make a method store load forward. Store load forward. That means what? One step extra. See, earlier what we used to do, because of only store, R1 value is stored onto memory. Does it mean R1 lost a value? No, a copy is stored. Instead of taking a data, if we have a instruction very next as load, why to take it from memory, which will take a more cycle? Take a copy from R1 itself. So here it is equal to, cancel this M, write R1. So what is the advantage of replacing memory? Advantage is it will be very faster, because it is register to register. Register to memory, it will take a lot of time. Register to register, it will take less time. Okay. Anyway, we are storing same data in R2. Say 5 is R1 value. What we are doing? 5 we are storing in memory. In first method, what we will do? From memory, R2 will also get a 5. What is final result? R1 is copied into R2. Why we should use M? Okay. One copy for M, one forward it for R2. See, we have 3 copies now. One in R1, one is memory, one is R2. But this cycle, let me say, this cycle is absent. If this cycle is absent, resources are saved. Resources are saved. Okay. 1 second. Next, we have method 2. So what is that method 2 is? See now, load forward. Load forward means between two loads. What is happening? From M we are getting data and storing it onto R1. Second, or for second purpose also, that means R2 also we are taking a data from M only. So that means what? From M we are accessing for 2 copies. Why to access 2 copies? Instead of that, okay, so please make change the arrow mark, because it is a load, both should be load. Arrow marks is store time. Okay, so it should be like this. Arrow mark is wrong here. Okay, so take data from M location, load onto R1 and forward it to R2. See, again what happened? This is cancelled. Here you can imagine as R1. So what happened here? Register to register data transfer, which will be faster in real world. This is called as internal data forwarding. Okay. Okay, one more example we have here is for multiplication. R1 into R2, store the result in R3, take a copy of R3 and store in R4. Please make like this, left hand. Okay, perform R4 and R5, store a copy in R5. See the data, R1 is supplied, R2 is supplied. What we will get? R1, R2 supplied, R3. See here, the stage is R3. Unnecessarily we are keeping one copy of R3 in R4, and that data is used for next step called plus. So we will get a data R5, and again answer is stored in R5, so keep a data here. Instead of this, what we can do is, see, this step is unnecessary. How to do? R1 supply, R2 supply. Instead of two loads, take one copy, keep it separate, R4. Anyway, R3 we are not using in our future, so no need to forward anywhere. So directly you take R4, take R5, get result and update it here. So this is how is called internal data transfer. Okay, now the last technique is hazards. Okay, so that means when data is shared among many processes or task, hazard occurs. Hazard means what? Competition to get the resource. Race condition we call in our operating system. So whenever there is a read or write operation, so data shared data competition will take place. Okay, so how to avoid such a competition is, there are some conditions. See, there is one assumption, domain set, that means input and output. Hope you studied in your first video of this subject, Bernstein's conditions, called flow dependency, anti-dependency and output dependency. See now, all should not be null. If they all are null, they are independent. Okay. If they are not null, they are dependent, like that. Okay. So input for first should not be output of the next. Participate as output of first should not participate as input for the next. With assumption that, okay, one more assumption I should tell, I and J. I means first instruction, J means second instruction. I then J. You can change into I as I1, J as I2 also. Okay. So you studied three dependency diagrams there in our first module. Please refer them. Okay. So now read write. Read after write. What happens? So one instruction will write a data. One instruction will write a data. If next instruction doesn't wait till first instruction write completes, it will get a old data. So that prepares a hazard. Here one is trying to write, another is trying to read. So this is a competition area. Okay. Next one, write after read. First you finish write. First you finish write. Okay. After that, read. Actually even you can write in reverse method also, not a problem. Okay. First you finish a write, then read. It is trying to write but not yet completed. Again something is some other process is trying to get a data. So same type of problem. Now comes write after write. See this. One process is trying to write, another process is also trying to update same area. So that is called as write after write hazard. So such possibility may occur. To avoid that, we have to we should try to avoid hazards. Okay. Fine. Thank you.